Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this really pretty puff stitch pattern. It's a combination of puff stitches and double crochets. So for this tutorial you're just going to need some yarn and a hook. I'm using a Lion brand Kobe yarn. It's a really pretty lightweight number 3 yarn. It has this gorgeous sheen to it. Really brings out the puff stitches, and a 4.0 millimeter hook. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so to start off this stitch pattern, we're going to be chaining 23, and that's because the multiple is 6 plus 5. Okay, so once you've chained 23, we're going to create 1 double crochet, 2 chains, and 1 double crochet all in the 4th chain from the hook. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead and yarn over, insert your hook into that 4th chain from the hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over one more time, and pull through the last 2 loops, okay? And that's how you create a double crochet. Then you want to chain 2, so 1, 2, and then we're going to yarn over one more time, and we're going to create 1 more double crochet in that same chain. Okay, so yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. Okay, so now you should have something that looks like this. Alright, and then we are going to skip 2 chains. So 1, 2, and then the 3rd chain, this is where we're going to start our first puff stitch. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the 3rd chain, yarn over again, and pull up a loop. Okay, so you should see 3 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3. You want to yarn over again, insert your hook into that same chain, yarn over, and pull up another loop on your hook. Okay, you should have 5 on here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to yarn over one more time. So yarn over, insert your hook into that same chain, yarn over, and pull up your last loop. You should have 7 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, yarn over, and we're going to pull through this bunch of loops right here. Okay, pull through the last loop. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this now. Now you want to chain 1, and this is going to close your puff stitch. Okay, and then that's it. Alright, so you should have something that looks like this. Then we want to skip our next 2 chains. So 1, 2, and in the 3rd chain, that's when you're going to create your 1 double crochet, your 2 chains, and 1 double crochet. Okay, so 1, 2, and go ahead and create your first double crochet in the 3rd chain. Chain 2, and create your last double crochet. Okay, it should look like this. Alright. Now, we're going to skip 2 chains, and we're going to create another puff stitch in the 3rd chain. So yarn over, insert your hook into that 3rd chain, yarn over, pull through. So we should have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, insert our hook into that chain, yarn over, and pull through or pull up a loop. Okay, you should have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn over one more time, insert your hook into that loop, and pull through. Okay, pull up a loop. So you should have 7 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yarn over, and we're going to pull through all these loops. If you can't do them all at once, I would just get this bundle first and then do that one. Okay, so make sure your hook is pointed downwards and carefully pull through. Okay, my first bunch, my last loop, and then yarn over one more time just to close the loop. All right, now we're going to skip our next 2 chains, and we're going to create 1 double crochet, 2 chains, and 1 double crochet in the 3rd chain. Okay, so you're probably starting to see a pattern form here, but that's basically how you do row 1. Okay, so go ahead and create your double crochet, chain 2, and my last double crochet. All right. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. It's going to be your row 1. All right. Let's go ahead and create our puff stitch again. Skip our 2 chains, and in the 3rd chain, create your puff stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 hooks on, or 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 5 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 7 loops on your hook. You always want to have 7 loops on your hook for this puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yarn over, pull through the first bunch, pull through the last one, yarn over, okay, or chain 1 to close it. All right, let's skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and let's go ahead and create our 1 double crochet, 2 chains, and 1 double crochet in the 3rd chain. All right, and then finally for your last chain, you want to go ahead and double crochet in that last chain. And then that completes row 1. All right, so it should look like this. You'll see your puff stitches and then your double crochet stitches, which looks like V stitches. All right, so let's go ahead and do row 2. All right, so to start off row 2, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to flip our work, okay, so now we're working on the back side, and we're going to create a puff stitch in this first chain space right here. Okay, so these are your double crochets from the previous row. So go ahead and yarn over, insert your hook into that chain space, yarn over and pull up a loop. You should have 3 loops on your hook, 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, insert back into that chain space, yarn over and pull up another loop. You should have 5 loops on your hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn over, insert your hook last time into that chain space, yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, then yarn over one more time and pull through. Okay, and just take your time with that one because that can be a little tricky. And then you just want to chain 1 to close the puff stitch. Okay, so it should look like this. All right, next we're going to create our 2 double crochets and 2 chains in this space right here, the space above the puff stitch. Okay, so it's just kind of hard to see, but it's right here. Okay, so it's going to be 1 double crochet, 2 chain, and 1 double crochet. Okay, so in that stitch above the puff stitch. All right, my first double crochet, chain 2, and my second double crochet. All right, so it should look like this. Okay. All right, so now we're going to create our next puff stitch, and you're going to put it right here like the first one that we did. You're going to put it in this chain space, your previous double crochets from the previous row. All right, so yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Last time, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Once you have 7 loops on your hook, pull through those stitches, chain 1 to close the puff stitch. Okay, and then we're simply going to be doing 1 double crochet, 2 chains, and 1 double crochet in that puff stitch, the stitch above the puff stitch. Okay, so go ahead and work your 1 double crochet, your chain 2, and your 2nd double crochet. Okay, and that's pretty much the pattern till the end of the row. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue till the end of the row. We're going to create our puff stitch in that chain space, the double crochets from the previous row, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, last time, insert your hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Okay, you should have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yarn over and pull through. Okay, and then chain 1 to close the loop. I mean the puff stitch. Okay, let's create our 1 double crochets, 2 chains, and 1 double crochet in that stitch from the previous puff stitch. Okay. All right, we're back at it with our last puff stitch here in that double crochet space from the previous row. All right, and so once you come to this last spot right here, we're simply going to be crocheting 1 double crochet in the 3rd chain, okay, from the previous row, so the last double crochet from the previous row. So this can be a little tricky to find. I always have to move it with my finger, but create 1 double crochet. All right, and that completes row 2. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this now. Now we're going to complete row 3, and then that'll be the stitch pattern. All right, so let's go ahead and do row 3. Okay, so for row 3, you want to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. You want to turn your work, and in the 2nd stitch, okay, which is the stitch right above the puff stitch from the previous row, you're going to create 1 double crochet, 2 chain, and 1 double crochet, okay, all in that same stitch. Okay, and once you've done that, we're going to look for our chain space, which is right here. It's going to be your double crochets from the previous row, and that's where you want to create your puff stitch. Okay, so yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop. You should have 3, 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. You should have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over last time, and pull up a loop. Okay, you should have 7. Go ahead and pull through those loops. Chain 1 to close the puff stitch. All right, and then we're going to be creating 1 double crochet, 2 chain, and 1 double crochet in that 1 stitch, which is your puff stitch from the previous row. Okay, so find that stitch, create your double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. All right, and so that's pretty much the pattern for row 3, the sequence. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our puff stitch in the chain space, which is the double crochets from the previous row. Okay, go ahead and create your puff stitch in that one. Chain 1 to close the puff stitch. Now we're going to create our 1 double crochet, 2 chain, 1 double crochet in the stitch, which is the puff stitch from the previous row. 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 double crochet. All right, let's go ahead and create our last puff stitch for this row. Okay, so your double crochets, the chain space. Make sure you chain 1 to close the puff stitch. All right, and my 1 double crochet, 2 chains, and 1 double crochet in the stitch, which is the puff stitch from the previous row. All right, and then lastly, you are going to create a double crochet in the 3rd chain. Okay, so find your 3rd chain. I just like to count it. 1, 2, 3, and I always seem to have to move these with my finger here. All right. Okay, and that is how you complete row 3. So you should have something that looks like this now. Okay, you'll see your puff stitches and your double crochets. So for this stitch pattern, all you want to do is continue to repeat rows 2 and 3. Okay, and you should have something that'll look like this. So there is a detailed blog post with pictures available at the link down below. Alright, I really hope you enjoyed this stitch tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe.